How do you go from promising full transparency on Epstein to delivering nothing but excuses? Senator Durbin demands answers.
Mr. Chairman, the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case is baffling. It's frustrating the American people, and it's exacerbating the mistrust in the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In February, Attorney General Bondi, 17 days into the job, said in a Fox News interview that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review, end of quote. The White House then staged a major media release of Epstein-related files on February 27th, including preparing binders for conservative influencers and commentators. However, the files released were largely already publicly available. There was nothing new. After intense blowback, Attorney General Bondi went back to Fox News, the mothership, and claimed that a whistleblower, quote, assured her there were more files, and that, quote, New York, Southern District of New York, was sitting on thousands of pages of documents. And she promised on Fox, and I quote, we will get everything, and the country will see, quote, the full Epstein files. These are quotes from Attorney General Bondi voluntarily appearing on Fox News to explain the situation. For the next 4 months, the Department of Justice and the FBI were silent. What happened during that period? Well, we received information that Attorney General Bondi pressured the FBI to assign, now get this, approximately 1,000 agents in its Information Management Division and hundreds of additional agents from the New York field office to work 24-hour shifts to review and produce more documents on Epstein on an arbitrarily short deadline. These officials were told to, quote, flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. But after this flurry of activity using tens of thousands of personnel hours in March, it took DOJ and FBI 3 additional months to produce no new documents, but rather an unsigned memorandum on July 7th finding that, quote, this systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. Naturally, after all of the public promises Attorney General Bondi has made, the public is really suspicious of her finding. This suspicion has been exacerbated by public reporting that FBI Director Patel and FBI Deputy Director Bongino disagree with Attorney General Bondi's handling of this matter. Public mistrust has been fed by other claims in the July 7th memorandum. This memorandum included links to surveillance video footage from outside Epstein's cell in the hours leading up to his death. The July 7th memorandum describes one of the videos released as full, raw footage, yet experts who've analyzed it concluded the video was likely modified. The Trump administration has essentially created a new controversy rather than solving one. President Trump is not helping matters at all. Despite his administration continuing making promises about the transparency on Jeffrey Epstein and claims about the existence of records that have not been produced, he is currently telling the country the president is saying this is all, quote, a scam, close quote. Yesterday, President Trump posted on his personal social media site, and I quote, my past supporters have bought into this BS hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson, and they probably never will. That's from the president's personal social media. This is the president talking about his own constituents who are concerned about claims his own campaign surrogates and administration have continually raised. President Trump and Attorney General Bondi are directly responsible for all this confusion and mistrust, and they need to be fully transparent, and they should release all of the documents for the public to review as quickly as possible.
What you just heard from Senator Dick Durbin cuts to the heart of why the Jeffrey Epstein case continues to loom like a shadow over American institutions. This isn't just about Epstein himself anymore. It's about trust, or more precisely, the lack of it. Durbin lays out a damning timeline, Attorney General Pam Bondi goes on Fox News not once but multiple times and claims she has Epstein's client list on her desk and promises the public will see everything. Those are her words. The administration even stages a flashy media rollout of supposed Epstein files, complete with binders for right-wing influencers. And yet, the files turned out to be old material that was already public. Nothing new, nothing meaningful. Then we hear that Bondi ordered the FBI to divert nearly 1,000 agents to comb through mountains of Epstein-related records, specifically instructing them to flag anything that mentioned Donald Trump. Think about that. At a time when the Bureau is already stretched thin, resources were pulled into a political pressure campaign, not a genuine investigation into one of the darkest criminal scandals in modern U.S. history. And what did the American people get after all that noise? An unsigned memo, conveniently timed months later, declaring that there was no incriminating client list. This is why Durbin says the public has every reason to be suspicious. Because if you make loud promises on television, if you assure the country that the truth is coming, and then months later say, sorry, there's nothing to see, you don't close the controversy, you deepen it. It doesn't help that experts now say surveillance footage of Epstein's final hours, which was included in these official releases, shows signs of tampering. Instead of transparency, we get edited tapes, contradictory statements, and officials publicly disagreeing with each other. And then there's Donald Trump himself, who's now calling the whole issue a scam, even mocking his own supporters for believing what his own attorney general and surrogates had been feeding them. That contradiction alone should raise alarm bells. This exchange reminds us of a broader truth. When powerful people control access to information, especially about crimes involving wealth, influence, and abuse, transparency becomes a weapon, not a principle. Promises get made for political gain. Evidence gets filtered or buried. And the American people are left not with answers, but with a deeper sense that the system is rigged to protect the powerful. That's why hearings like this matter. Because whether you believe there is a list or not, whether you think it's being covered up or exaggerated, one thing is undeniable. The Department of Justice and the FBI owe the American people clarity, not contradictions. Here at Left Lens, we don't take these statements at face value. We dig, we question, and we connect the dots to show you how power operates behind closed doors. If you believe this kind of transparency and critical watchdog reporting is necessary, make sure you subscribe to Left Lens, join the community, and help us hold leaders accountable. Because if we don't demand answers, we're guaranteed to keep getting excuses.